Welcome back to Open Topic. This is episode number 8. This one basically is going to be on the state of the X books since Inhumans vs. X-Men. It's been 1 year, so I figured though, why not give my thoughts of what the X-Men franchise has done as a whole since then. When the thing started last year, we had several new titles, plus 2 series that were continuing, one of whom is ending soon for some stupid reason and being relaunched under a different name. Now, the new titles that were launched, pretty much when the Resurrection X was launched last year, was Cable, Generation X, Iceman, Jean Grey, Weapon X, X-Men Blue, and X-Men Gold. Yep, those were the initial titles when the thing started. With Gold be written by Mark Guggenheim, Blue, Colin Bunn, Weapon X, Greg Pak, Jean Grey, Dennis Hopeless, Iceman, Stephen Grace, Generation X. I don't remember who the writer for this one is. Let me look it up here. Because, let's see here. Excuse me. Excuse me. Let's see. I don't remember the writer's name. Honestly, I don't. I don't remember the writer's name for Generation X. Cable, of course, is written by James Robertson. And I'll talk about the ridiculous changes they keep making to the book every 5 issues for some stupid reason. Yeah. Though, at least about, I think it was just a couple months after this started. Yeah, it was like about 3 months. Yeah, it was like 2 months after this started, we had another X title launch, and that was Astonishing X-Men. Written by Charles Shaw. Now, Gold's lineup when this series first started was a pretty interesting lineup. Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, Oh My Logan, and surprisingly, Rachel Gray, who was under the title of Pestilence. They have, of course, added more members to the team while the team was off in jail about a little over a year into the publication of this book, basically over 20 issues in. We added Magma. Magma was actually just before this, but in issue 23 we added Iceman, Rogue, Magic, and Pyro. Yep, with Ink as a trainee. Now, in the case of Magic, for some stupid reason, I have no idea why in the world that Marvel did this for. The character of Magic, Ilya Rasputin, a character who's been pretty much part of an X-Men roster since 2011. For some strange reason, she was removed from the roster, and she just occasionally popped up in other people's books. I mean, she popped up a couple times in Jean Grey. And she eventually finally became part of a team again thanks to X-Men Gold. Well, thanks to the fact that he was in jail. Blue was consisted of pretty much the original 5 X-Men, Time Dispatch versions, along with Magneto, Polaris, Blair Riley. Yeah, it was Blair Riley. I'm trying to think who else was it. It was Jimmy Hudson, who joined a little bit later, joined actually within like at the end of issue 5. We also had Bloodstorm. Now, the current team with the Time Dispatch team out in space, we got new members: Polaris, Wolverine's son Daken, Zorn, who is the new Zorn that Chuck Austin created, the one that kind of retconned the other one, and Glazing Nightshade. I should point out that for Zorn, yeah, this is the brother of the Zorn from the Grant Morrison run. Yeah, and the Zorn from the Grant Morrison one is one of the most bizarre things Marvel has treated this character, where, oh yeah, it's Zorn, this is Zorn, and then, oh yeah, he's Magneto. Nope, not Magneto, it's really just Zorn all along. Yeah, the reason why this is because of the controversial story Planet X, where in the story, there is this controversial scene where Magneto has non-mutants led to an incinerator. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. Yeah, in the case of Astonishing X-Men, when this title first started last year with Charles Shaw as the writer, the lineup was, get this, Archangel, Bishop, Phantom X, Gambit, Mystique, Old-Man Logan, Psylocke, and Rogue. Yeah, when this title started, this was the first X-Men title that Rogue has been part of as part of an X-Men roster since 2013. Yeah, this is the first time in 4 years she's part of an X-Men roster. In the case of Gambit, this is the first time in 3 years he's been actually featured regularly in an actual book. Because prior to this, because he was featured in all the X Factor, after the book was axed, Marvel barely used his character. He popped up in Deadpool vs. Gambit. And then he popped up for issue of X-Men Gold. And then they gave him this series. It's almost kind of like Marvel was embarrassed to use the character, though they did blame the low sales of X Factor on Gambit himself, which I thought was stupid. Maybe if you had, I don't know, not had the title come out twice a month, maybe the title would have been canceled. Yeah. As for, well, Bishop, as for Psylocke and Archangel, yeah, they're part of the X-Men roster under Colin Bunn. Not Colin Bunn. Yeah, it was Colin Bunn. Along with Mystique. Yeah. Phantom X, this is actually the first time he's part of an X-Men roster in years. Yeah, I think the last group he was part of was X-Force. Yeah, and that was Cable's X-Force team. Now, Bishop was part of the Uncanny X-Force team that Sam Humphries did. Yeah, and when this title first started, last year, this is the first time in 4 years he's made a physical appearance, and he's still part of the book right now, though they are changing the writers. They are changing the creative team of the book, and, and the change in Lamb. Now, the new writer is Matthew Rosenberg. As for the artist, it's Greg Land, the Tracer. A guy who pretty much like everybody hates. Now, the current artist is Mike D'Addario, who actually is a really good artist, and I like what he's doing in the book. And the book has been fantastic for almost this whole year. The book isn't published, but apparently it's coming July. I think the book is taking a month off. Like, as soon as basically July starts with issue 13, Matthew Rosenberg is taking up the book. Now, this is the new lineup starting with issue 13. We have Beast, Colossus, Dazzler, Havoc, and Warpath. Warpath is part of another book, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah. In the case of Havoc, this is actually the first time in... how long has it been now? I think it's been roughly 6 years since he's part of an X-Men roster. Yes, 6 years. And wow, it has been a long time since he's part of an X-Men roster. Though currently he's acting as a villain in X-Men Blue, because recommended that Dazzler, as far as I can tell for her, this is the first time in probably, off the top of my head, 3 years she's been part of an X-Men roster. Not since Brian Michael Bendis did his run for Kenny X-Men, she's part of an X-Men roster. I mean, what she's been doing since then? Well, she popped up in A-Force, was there for pretty much the whole entire series, that brief ongoing series that was, due to the fact the series was canceled due to low sales, and Marvel never bothered to tell anybody the book was being canceled. So in fact, the book was actually really good. Yep. But wait, what's she been doing since the book is canceled? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I have barely seen this character in like 2 years. And now she's popping up in this book. Beast, meanwhile, had not been part of an X-Men title since, I don't know, probably not since Brian Michael Bendis did his run for the X-Books. Yeah, it's been several years, and what he's been doing? Well, because like X-Men crapped on him in X600, he's just been hanging out at the Avengers Mansion this whole time. Yeah, but it's interesting that he's going back to the X-Books. I guess maybe the X-Men have forgiven him. Colossus, I don't know why in the world he's part of this roster for. Yeah, so I think he's part of X-Men Gold. He's going to be part of this roster for some strange reason. I have no idea why. But in the case of this, I'm not sure what's going to happen to this. Now, Old-Man Logan, he's not going to place because he's getting an ongoing series. Rogue was in, I think it was Uncanny Avengers, but who knows what the future of that series is going to be. As for everybody else, no idea what's going to happen to these characters that up. I think it's really weird that we're changing the roster. I mean, complete change in the roster after 12 issues. Don't know why. Now, in the case of Cable, let's talk about Cable for a minute. Cable has been publishing now for over a year, and over the course of, I think it's about 12 issues, we've had already 3 different creative teams for no explained reason. Yeah, I am not kidding about this. After the first 5 issues with James Robinson as the writer, he leaves and he's replaced by Ed Bronson with New Mutant storyline. Great storyline, mind you. And after this arc wrapped up, after 5 issues, we once again change writers. I'm like, seriously? What in the world is Marvel doing? Why do they keep changing creative teams for after only releasing 5 issues? It's by far really stupid. If you're gonna have a consistent team, if you want this style to succeed, have the creative team stay on for more than 5 issues. I don't mind changing artists now and again, but changing the writer of the book, it's ridiculous. Constantly changing the status quo, and now apparently the current arc is just filling in gaps in Cable's history. Like the most recent one takes place after Messiah War. Yeah, like immediately after Messiah, which is a good issue, by the way. Yeah. Jean Grey, awesome title. Love this title. Dennis Hope was a fantastic job with this. Of course, we teased this stuff with the Phoenix, which, of course, the cancellation of this book led to X-Men Red, which I'll talk about that in a minute. Though, some people accused it of being one of the SJW titles, which, like with Hawkeye, no, there is nothing SJW about this book. Because the fact it's a female-led book, that's why they accuse it being, that's the only reason why I think they accuse it being SJW stuff. And plus also was team-up book. Well, here's kind of the thing. Oh, no, Wolverine's first arc was basically team-up arc. Like, every single issue, she teamed with a different person. So, I don't get why in the world. And plus, this book brought about the return of the Juggernaut, Black Tom Cassidy, and Hope Summers. Yeah, in the case of Black Tom Cassidy, when this title started last year, this was the first time in 5 years he's popped up in any title. His last book was basically popping up in the last issue of Deadpool Volume 2, when Daniel Wade was writing the book. In the case of the Juggernaut, this is the first time his Amazing X-Men ended that he popped up. Of course, for him, it's been 2 years. Hope Summers has been a lot longer. I think for her, it had been close to about 3 years since she physically showed up in a book. Now, of course, she's back in Cable again, which is amazing. Iceman. This is a really good title. Nothing really bad about it. Heck, I even like the issues where he had a reunion with the champions. That was really good. The only reason I think people didn't buy it, there's actually 2 reasons why people didn't buy it. One, because people still basically despise Marvel for outing Iceman as gay, and 2, the writer made an ass of himself on Twitter. I'm not kidding about that. He actually really did. He basically didn't like the fact that, well, if you're not gay, you're not cool. That's just paraphrasing what he was saying, because a lot of the stuff he was saying, what I've heard he say on Twitter, was really utter garbage. I mean, I don't know what in the world this writer was thinking. Yeah, this writer is gay, but we don't need to force it on everybody. We need everybody to be gay. It's so freaking stupid. Yeah, no wonder why your book got axed. Because you're a jerk on Twitter. That's the reason why. And plus also, no one... Now, this title, I can understand the SJW stuff because... Well, this book, unlike America, which kept basically shoving down people's throats that the woman was a lesbian, in the case of Iceman, well, there was hints here or there, but it wasn't like forcing down people's throats every single issue that Iceman was gay. Yeah. And the title was good. It's just that, well, I still think, and I agree with a lot of people, outing him as gay is still been an absolute stupid idea. To this day. Generation X. Really good series. And it actually lasted for, I mean, if you count the Regenesis issues, roughly 12 issues, which wasn't too bad. I mean, here is the lineup. Jubilee, Chamber was part of the group as well, though it's not listed here. Yeah, she was part of the original group. Although Bling, Quinta Quintire, Nature Girl, Morph. This is not the Morph from Exile, it's a different Morph. Hindsight and iBoy. I gotta say, this is actually a really good title. Now, writing-wise, this title was fantastic. The only thing bad about this title was the atrocious artwork, where everybody looked like horses for no reason. Yeah, I have no idea why in the world Marvel will allow this artist to continue to farm for so long. No wonder why no wonder why no one bought the book, because the artwork was so bad. The covers were fantastic. The Dots did a fantastic job. I just kind of wish they did the interiors as well. That would have saved the book from cancellation. But no, Marvel kept on a garbage artist for the entire run. Yep. In the case of On the Wolverine, it's been a great title. And if you want to hear my opinions about the relaunch of X23, check out the episode. It's a few episodes back. Now, they did launch one new. Now, in the case of Gold has been a really good title. The only thing I don't like about it is Return of the Bigotry. Though the bigotry in here is really stupid. It's like, oh, this reporter, this news anchor doesn't like mutants, so she has an act try to get forced through Congress to get all of the mutants deported, which I think is quite stupid. Luckily enough, the writer knows that that's stupid, so he has the public basically voice their outrage against the mutants. Not the mutants, against the stupid law. Yeah. Of course, we did have one new X-Men title launched just this year after we finished up the miniseries Phoenix Resurrection, Return of Jean Grey, which is actually a pretty dang good series. Matthew Rosenberg wrote the series, and I gotta admit, this is actually pretty good. Though, the title was published weekly, except for like 1 week. Now, here's the lineup for this particular series, which started only just a few months ago, and is written by Tom Taylor, fantastic writer, who's also the writer of All New Wolverine, though that book is going to be ending soon, relaunched X23. The lineup of X-Men read is this: Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Namor, first time he's supposed to say an X-Men book in 6 years, Laura, Wolverine, Gambit, but at least he's going to feature in some book, Gentile, yeah, I think he's a newer character, Honey Badger, who was, trying to think, what was his, oh yeah, that's Gabby's sister, and I think it's a, Atlantean. I think it is. Yeah, Gentile is a newer character, only created. Oh yeah, he's from the new X-Men series. Interesting the fact they bring this guy back after so many years. Yeah. So since this initiative launched last year, at least 3 titles have been axed just in the first months of this year. One is going to end really soon, but in the case of everything else, everything is going really good. Old Man Logan did change writers just prior to the initiative started because Lemire left after 25 issues, handing off to Ed Bronson, who's done a fantastic job with the title, making the title just as interesting as possible. Especially in the most recent issue where he had Old Man Logan fight Bullseye. That was awesome. And I heard he's going to fight him again in July, which is going to be amazing. And the book has been fantastic under both writers, and made it probably by far one of the most interesting titles Marvel's published in the last few years. Probably one of the best selling titles, not just because, well, it's Wolverine, but the reason I think is that Marvel keeps its title around is because of the financial success of Logan. Yep, so the X titles have been really good so far. I just kind of wish some of these characters would get a little more, do something maybe, I don't know. Oh, there's one title I forgot to talk about. Weapon X, which this lineup is consisted of, well, Old Man Logan, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, I think who else was it? It was weapon. Let's see, Lady Deathstrike. No Mystique is not part of this title. I'm trying to think. I think that was it. Yeah, it's anybody associated with the Weapon X program is part of this book. When the title first started, it kind of felt as though that the title had no idea where it was going. And then it had its crossover with Totally Awesome Hulk, which was an amazing crossover. And probably one of the dumbest decisions Marvel made with the book, and they later rectified by removing this artist as the artist of the book. Yeah, when the book started last year, Greg Land was the artist. And thank God they removed them after the crossover with Totally Awesome Hulk, which was an absolute fantastic idea. Because the guy basically no one can stand because of his tracing, because of his lazy tracing that he does. Of course, they have put him on another X-Men title. They put him on Astonishing X-Men. I hope people voice their outcry at this ridiculous idea. Put him on an X book. I mean, give him give him a Max book to do. Stop giving him mainstream books to do because no one likes this artist at all. Yeah, I have never found anybody who actually likes his artwork. I gotta admit, his background stuff is amazing. His weaknesses is his faces, his constant retracing of faces, and well, the fact that he constantly draws superheroes like they're porn stars wearing superhero costumes, putting women in sexual poses for no reason, people who are smiling while they're in the middle of a fight. Yeah, I have no idea why in the world he thinks this is a good idea. And his constant reuse of faces, the same type of facial expression, or for pretty much like several issues. Yeah, for like one character or given like several characters, or making characters look almost exactly like for no explained reason. Case in point, one of his worst series he ever did was Ultimate Power, and you get a chance to see how lazy his artwork is there. His artwork is not Rob Liefeld bad, but at least Rob Liefeld can actually, draw characters look interesting and have good dynamic for their costumes. Greg Land has people smiling in the middle of a fight. Alright, so that's all I gotta say. The X books has been really good. I just kind of wish we had one more X-Men title to feature some of the other X-Men characters. I mean, at least Gambit could feature another book. But I kind of wish that some of these other characters featured in something. Like, for example, Bishop is. I mean, once this run ends, Archangel, Bishop, Phantom X, and Mystique are not going to feature in any. Oh yeah, and Psylocke are not going to feature in any book after this one. I mean, as far as I know, I've not heard any new book featuring these characters. I like the fact Mystique is an X-Men. I like the fact that Colin Bunn made a part of an X-Men team again, and of course Charles Shaw came up with the concept. Maybe they might move over a different book. I'm hoping, or at least I don't know. Maybe they could have X-Force. That'd be interesting. But Archangel. Yeah, here's kind of the weird thing about how Marvel's treated the present day version of Archangel. Yeah, he somehow loses members thanks to the events of Rick Man's Uncanny X-Force, and he gets barely used. He very rarely shows up. At one point, he was the first graduate of the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning from Strange, despite the fact the guy is probably pushing 30. Oh yeah, and he constantly walks around nude. And it just seemed like half the time Marvel just very rarely features him in a book because they had the past version of Angel pop up running around. So why had the present day one? And yet both Beasts, both the present and past version, have constantly showed up on a constant basis. But in the case of him, he very rarely shows up. Phantom X, I was very happy to see this guy return to an X-Style, first time in several years. I mean, this is the first time since X-Force that he's part of any title. Same thing with Bishop. I like the fact Shaw brought these two characters back because it gives them something to do. But look, if it's not featured this anymore, I don't know. Maybe Rosenberg can keep a couple of these characters around, but changing the entire lineup just because the creative team, just because Charles Shaw's leaving, is kind of ridiculous. Try definitely having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, during Charles Shaw's when we had 8 people. Matthew Rosenberg, we have 5. No idea why. Excuse me. It's probably by far one of the most strangest ideas I've ever heard. But Rosenberg himself has been a consistent writer since, well, I think the first book I remember seeing him on was the Rocket Raccoon title at least 2 years ago, and the guy's been fantastic since. Actually, it was like last year, I think it was. Yeah, it was last year. He's been consistent writer since, and of course, he's doing stuff like The Punisher, which he's still gonna be saying the title. Thank freaking God. Trying to think what else. Oh yeah, he's doing the Multiman series. Yeah, Multiman featuring his return, which I'm glad he's doing that. He's doing a few titles, but at least he's doing something. And he's one of those new writers who's actually consistently really good. He's not like a big name like, let's say, Show or Brian Michael Bendis, but at least Marvel's pushing to giving this guy a good push and actually put him on good books as a writer. And maybe he might get a chance to write in there big. I would say Astonishing X-Men is probably the first group book I can think of this guy has ever written, because I would probably say the biggest characters written today, aside from Rocket Raccoon, is probably the Punisher. But writing next title is probably a big step just to get yourself one of the big top tier titles. That's just my personal theory, anyways. I mean, look at Show. The guy is doing Daredevil. Yeah, but with him leaving Astonishing X-Men, which means as of right now, which is coming in July, he's lowered down 4 to 3 books, which means he's lowered down just doing Daredevil, Poe Dameron, and Darth Vader. And that's it. Yeah. So, that's it for my thoughts on the City X books. My next thing I'm going to do right after this one is going to be a light novel from Fullmetal Alchemist. Yeah, I'm going to get my thoughts on that, okay? But until we see you in the next video. Bye.